What's good, YouTube? It's Winston, and you're watching Fancy Boy Jeeps. Today, we're talking steering stabilizers and the myths behind them. Okay, man, yes, we are going to be talking about steering stabilizers today, and we're going to be talking about some of those myths that you've probably heard or seen on the internet. Before we jump into that, man, I appreciate you guys watching the video and clicking on it. If you're not, hit that subscribe button. I'm on Instagram, so make sure you follow me. But let's go ahead and maybe jump into a stock steering setup. That way, maybe I can give you a little bit of background on steering stabilizers, kind of what they do, and then we'll go into jumping into some of those myths. How about that? So as you can see, the tie rod and the drag link tie in pretty much very close to one another in the same area on the axle side. Your steering stabilizer ties in to your tie rod, and basically all it does is it acts as a dampener so that when you take a big hit with your tires, that bump doesn't go all the way from your tie rod to your drag link to your pitman arm to your steering box and then in your steering wheel. So that's basically all it really does, is it works as a dampener. Boom. So now you know what steering stabilizer does, where it ties into, all that good things. So let's jump into some of those myths. Why don't we just come out swinging and take the biggest one of them all? Steering stabilizers cause or fix death wobble? No. Just no. No, okay? As you can see, my steering stabilizer is out. That is a Terraflex one. It came black. I painted it red. So obviously if I painted it, it wasn't in the Jeep. I did not drive my Jeep, but I didn't have any death wobble. Typically, if you have death wobble, let's let this car go by. It's one of the beauties of, recording outside. One day I'll have a nice little garage or something. But anyway, typically when you're talking about death wobble, there's a bunch of different things that can really kind of cause that. Your tie rod, your track bar, ball joints, control arm bushings, like there's a number of things that you could check for death wobble before you even think about touching your steering stabilizer. As I explained to you guys when we were looking at the stock setup, it's nothing more than a dampener, right? So it's not gonna really cause or fix anything. Having said that, let's move into the next point. You gotta spend a whole bunch of money to get a nice steering stabilizer, or you have to upgrade it. Not true. All right, so like I said, man, I have the Terraflex one. It's like the 9500 or something like that. It's a pretty standard one. And guys, all this is just a monotube shock, right? Like it's nothing super crazy, super fancy. I painted it to try to make it a little fancier, obviously. It's different than like a shock that goes on, say, your suspension, which has like, it doesn't have equal force coming from both sides, where this has equal force coming from both sides. I remember thinking that something was blown because it wasn't coming out, but that kind of makes sense as it turns. So it needs to have the same pressure going in and same pressure going out. So, so you don't, unless yours is damaged or it comes with your kit, you don't necessarily need to go out and spend a lot of money on a steering stabilizer. This is a Terraflex one. It was like maybe 60 or 70 bucks. I know Metal Cloak offers one with a relocation bracket. I will drop a link in the description for the relocation bracket video that I did. I don't have obviously their steering stabilizer, but that doesn't matter. Unless you're going with like that really cool Falcon adjustable one, which gives you soft, medium, and hard. And if I'm not mistaken, man, that thing is, switch arms here. If I'm not mistaken, that thing's pretty pricey, like two, maybe $300. It's kind of high. Unless you're getting something like that, a lot of it you're just kind of paying for the name. So going with something very simple like this TerraFlex one has done me like perfect, right? So that's myth number 2, is you have to go out and spend a crap ton of money on a aftermarket steering stabilizer, or even have to upgrade yours at all. Unless it's broken, don't swap it. If you do have to swap it, or you just want to, this TerraFlex one is awesome, and you can paint it to make it look fancy. Okay. All right, let's move on to myth number 3. And this one kind of randomly ties into the death wobble one, I guess, is that you need dual steering stabilizers. Wow, that was a mouthful. Dual steering stabilizers. Because this is typically on the stiffer side, you don't really want to add that additional stress on on another side as well, because again, like, it's connected to your drag link, which is connected to your your tie rod, or excuse me, it's connected to your tie rod, which is then also connected to your drag link, which is then connected to your pitman arm, which is then also connected all the way up into your steering box. And those things are relatively fragile, and so having another stabilizer on there to add even more restraint on your turning really can put a little bit more stress on your steering box, which would prematurely wear it out. And that brings me into my last myth, number 4. And this one isn't really so much of a myth as more it is a preference, maybe. Hydro assist is a must. This is true. However, it's up to a certain point, I would say. So if you're running 33s, 35s, maybe even some 37s, hydro assist isn't necessarily needed. And understand, hydro assist is really beneficial, but it's also really expensive. There's a lot of things that you have to upgrade. There's a lot of things that you have to kind of swap out. You can't just kind of just throw hydro assist in there and just run. And it's a very involved process in installing it. Personally, and again, this is just personal preference. Personally, I think once you're over 37s, like 38s and up, you probably want to start considering hydro assist, because the hydro assist is actually helping turn your tires, is actually helping to assist your tie rod move back and forth, where with the steering stabilizer it doesn't. So when you get these big bulky tires and you get off road and you get stuck into a situation where you need to be able to turn a little bit more, that hydro assist is what really helps you with those bigger tires. 35s, 37s, for the most part, you're gonna be good. I've already wheeled on the 37s with that stabilizer, and I didn't have any issues at all. So hydro assist is a very good thing. It's an awesome product. It's a really good benefit, but it's good at a certain point. Do I think you need to just jump in and spend the money on hydro assist? Probably not. Not until, again, you're on like 38s, 39s, big boys, 40s, 42s. Unless your pockets are deep, run it. Why not? So those are my big 4 myths, man, when it comes to steering stabilizers. Let's see if I can remember them without looking. Number 1, steering stabilizers fix death wobble. Number 2, and I'm gonna do this while the car is driving so that I'm not editing this. Number 2, you have to spend a bunch of money on a really nice one. Number 3, sorry. All right, so number 2 was you gotta spend a bunch of money. Number 3 was dual steering stabilizers. You see, I did it that time on point. Dual steering stabilizers fix death wobble. Dual steering stabilizers fix death wobble. And then number 4, that you have to run hydro assist. So I hope you heard all of those. I didn't want to stop because I wanted to make sure that you knew that I was remembering them and not looking on my phone, because sometimes I pull my phone out. I take notes and then pull my phone out. So I hope that if you had any questions, if you were thinking about like, dang, you know, I got death wobble, can I just throw a steering stabilizer on there? No. If you were thinking about which kind of stabilizer that you want to run with, run the TerraFlex one. I mean, this thing is awesome. I got it from 4 Parts. Obviously, you know, I did it with the warranty, which is now honestly kind of pointless because I've relocated everything up and it's kind of out of harm's way, so it's kind of never gonna get hurt. You can run the Metal Cloak one. It's already red, and comes with the relocation kit, which is really awesome and saves you some money and takes away a headache. And I hope this kind of answered some other questions that you may or may not have had on some other things. So if this video was helpful to you, make sure you hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, if you guys have any other myths, if you think I missed on a myth, if you want to elaborate on a myth, if my thought process is wrong, drop it in the comments, man. I'm always looking for more knowledge. That's the only way that we kind of get this thing out there and really kind of learn is if we kind of share, you know, information back and forth. So like I said, I hope you liked it. Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. If you're on Instagram, follow me at Rain This Way. Keep up with the build. What else? I guess the only thing left is keep those Jeeps fancy, boys.